Palantir Technologies, the secretive data giant with ties to government surveillance, military operations, and even covert operations. To some, it's a champion of national security. To others, it's a dangerous tool of mass surveillance. But one thing is certain, Palantir is one of the most controversial tech companies in the world. How did it rise to such power, and what does it mean for your privacy and freedom? Palantir was born in 2003, co-founded by Peter Thiel, the billionaire venture capitalist and co-founder of PayPal, along with Alex Karp and a team of data scientists. The mission: to build software that could analyze massive amounts of data, helping governments combat terrorism, fraud, and threats to national security. But behind that noble goal lies a deeper story, one that blurs the line between security and surveillance. Palantir quickly became the go-to for intelligence agencies, military forces, and law enforcement. They promised to connect the dots and uncover hidden patterns in data, tracking down terrorists, criminals, and insurgents. And who did they partner with? The CIA was one of Palantir's first clients, investing through their venture arm, In-Q-Tel. Right from the start, Palantir was plugged into the heart of American intelligence, and their software began reshaping the way national security worked. Fast forward to the mid-2000s. The US was deep into the war on terror, and Palantir's software was quietly at work in Iraq and Afghanistan. Their systems helped track insurgents, predict enemy movements, and piece together information from a sea of intelligence reports. By using Palantir's technology, the military could sort through enormous amounts of data, phone calls, emails, transactions, looking for connections that could lead to threats. On the surface, it seemed like a perfect partnership. But as Palantir grew, so did the concerns about its reach and the potential for abuse. Here's where things start to get murky. Palantir's software wasn't just used overseas. It found its way into domestic policing, analyzing social media data, traffic cameras, and even private phone records. Cities like New York and Los Angeles started using Palantir to predict crime before it happened, tapping into what some call the Minority Report effect. Supporters argue that Palantir's tech keeps us safe, helping to prevent terror attacks, catch criminals, and keep society secure. But critics? They say it's gone too far. Civil liberties groups have accused Palantir of creating a surveillance state, where the government has access to massive amounts of personal data, data that could be abused. With Palantir's software, governments can track your movements, analyze your digital footprint, and even predict your behavior. The question is, where does it end? Is it a necessary evil in a dangerous world, or is it a tool that erodes our privacy and freedoms? Then came the partnerships that made Palantir a lightning rod for criticism. One of its most controversial deals, working with Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE. Palantir's software was used in immigration raids, helping the agency track and deport undocumented immigrants. The backlash was immediate and fierce. Human rights groups accused Palantir of enabling mass deportations and separating families. Palantir, meanwhile, maintained that they were simply providing tools for law enforcement to do their job. But the damage was done. Protests erupted, and employees within Palantir itself began to question the ethics of their own company. But Palantir wasn't just focusing on government contracts. Their influence had started creeping into the corporate world too. Financial institutions, healthcare providers, and private companies began using Palantir's software to analyze data in ways never before possible. Companies were able to optimize operations, find hidden inefficiencies, and predict customer behavior. For some, Palantir was a godsend, helping businesses make smarter decisions. But others warned that Palantir's control over such vast amounts of data could create monopolistic power, where a single company has insight into industries across the board. It was no longer just a tool for security or government. It was becoming a tool for power. And as Palantir expanded into new sectors, questions about who controls that power and how it's used began to grow. In 2020, Palantir finally went public, listing on the New York Stock Exchange. And suddenly, a company that had operated in the shadows for so long was exposed to the light. Investors were eager to get a piece of the action, but they also began to ask hard questions. Palantir's IPO sparked debate on Wall Street. Was this a brilliant data company that could transform industries? Or was it a company entangled in ethical dilemmas too big to ignore? Its stock price soared, fueled by excitement around AI, data, and defense contracts. But with that success came scrutiny, especially around its secretive operations and its dealings with governments around the world. And at the center of it all is Alex Karp, Palantir's eccentric CEO. A self-proclaimed philosopher, Karp has steered the company with a vision that's both pragmatic and controversial. He's known for defending Palantir's work, even in the face of protests and public outrage. Karp has positioned Palantir as a necessary player in a world filled with complex threats. To him, the criticisms are misplaced, and Palantir's work is about protecting democracy and securing freedom. But to many, his vision raises unsettling questions. Should any one company have this much power? And what happens when that power is misused? Looking ahead, Palantir's influence is only set to grow. With AI at the heart of its operations and data becoming the world's most valuable resource, Palantir is positioned to be one of the most powerful tech companies of the next decade. But the debate rages on. Is Palantir a savior, or is it creating a dystopian future where every movement, transaction, and interaction is monitored? The real question isn't just about Palantir's success, but about what kind of world we're heading into. Will Palantir's technology make us safer, or will it make us prisoners of our own data where every move we make is watched, every conversation analyzed, and every decision influenced by algorithms we don't fully understand? The path Palantir is carving has raised ethical dilemmas that we can't ignore. For governments, it's a tool for control. For corporations, it's a way to maximize profits. But for society, it's a Pandora's box that could either unlock unprecedented security or trap us in a surveillance-driven future. Palantir isn't just a US-based phenomenon. The company has expanded its influence globally, partnering with foreign governments, intelligence agencies, and multinational corporations. Europe, Asia, and the Middle East have all become clients. This global reach, however, raises another question. Who really controls the data? Critics argue that by operating across borders, Palantir has the ability to circumvent regulatory frameworks and privacy laws. In countries with less oversight, Palantir's technology could be used for authoritarian purposes, monitoring dissidents and cracking down on free speech. In the bigger picture, Palantir is part of a broader battle in the tech world, a battle for data dominance. Companies like Google, Amazon, and Facebook have long been criticized for their own control over data, but Palantir is playing a different game. Rather than selling ads or consumer products, it sells the future of intelligence. In the data wars, Palantir's position is unique. While others are fighting for consumer eyeballs and attention, Palantir is deeply embedded with governments, military contractors, and law enforcement. The real war isn't just for market share, it's for control over the world's most valuable resource: information. And now we're left with the ultimate question. Is Palantir a force for good or a harbinger of a surveillance state? Can a company so closely tied to the world's most powerful institutions truly act in the public's interest? Or is Palantir simply creating tools of control that can be wielded by those with the deepest pockets? It's easy to see Palantir as a hero if you believe the world is dangerous and security is paramount. But for those concerned about civil liberties, Palantir's rise is a warning. One thing is clear. Palantir's impact will shape the next generation of data privacy, national security, and global politics. In the end, Palantir isn't just about data or algorithms, it's about power. The power to shape societies, influence governments, and redefine privacy. As the world becomes more connected, Palantir stands at the center of a global shift, where the control of data might very well determine the future of democracy, freedom, and security. So what do you think? Is Palantir protecting us from unseen threats, or is it an unseen threat itself? One thing is for certain. Palantir is reshaping the world, and whether we like it or not, we're all part of its data network. Palantir's story is far from over, and the choices we make today about privacy, security, and data will echo for generations to come. The world is watching, and so is Palantir. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. What do you think the future holds for Palantir and the power of data?